without further ado, let's bring the lovely and talented Denise Crosby to the stage.
Wow, nice crowd here. Did I take? Oh,
I was gonna.
I took your chair.
There you go. It's almost like that.
Thank you so much. Good? Yeah? Why not? We'll try it. How are you guys? Very good. Maine. Nice to be back in Maine.
So when was your first time in here in the state of Maine? Because you're familiar with Bangor, the surrounding areas too. What do you recall, and when was the first time you were here?
So the first, my first trip was when I was cast in Pet Cemetery. And we arrived, I think it was probably around July. We got out here. I was first put in a lovely hotel in Bar Harbor. And we were given, you know, like a stipend from Paramount, and it was basically, now go find a house to rent. And let's see, Dale Midkiff, who played Louis Creed in the movie, he already had found a house because he was smarter than me and had his manager come and find a house for him to rent. So I had to basically scrounge around and get a rental car, and I was, you know, on my own, and I'd never been to Maine, and the director, Mary Lambert, was renting a really nice house in Hancock, and so I think I saw a realtor, and she showed me a couple places, and she showed me a beautiful little cottage sort of between Hancock and Ellsworth, like little island, like a lot of water was coming in the backyard, you know, the back, you could see the water, and it was just absolutely charming, a lot of light. And I took it on the spot, you know, it was during the daytime, and then nightfall came. And I am making a film called Pet Cemetery. And I am in a very, very dark, quiet, glass, basically, house where you can just see me sitting there shivering. You know, I think I slept with my eyes open for a month.
You enjoyed some lobster too, and I think that's on the agenda today as well.
Oh, listen, there was a place. So the Creed house was in Ellsworth, and so we drove on this road. Every day we passed Bob the Lobster, and it was just a little shack on the road with a neon lobster above. And I think you could get like a beer and a lobster for like $5. And I ate lobster every single day until I grew a tail of my own, and I said, maybe I've got to stop now. Yeah, because, you know, we're like from California where, you know, you'll see lobster for, you know, $50 on the menu or something. So we couldn't get enough of it. And, you know, we'd shoot some pool, and it was just our hangout. And I don't think Bob the Lob, as we called him, Bob the Lob, is around anymore, and I'm just absolutely heartbroken. Oh God, I came all this way for that shack, and it's gone. I'm just gonna.
Well, we'll start opening up for some questions. Again, the protocol, if you have a question, raise your hand, and we'll try to get to you in a timely manner. Anyone want to be the first one to break the ice here?
Ah, brave soul.
What was it like working with John Ritter on Skin Deep?
Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned John. Was absolutely one of the sweetest, if not the sweetest, people I've worked with in my career. He was just so giving and so easy and so funny. I mean, just genuinely funny. And that I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but we had so much fun doing it, and he just made me just laugh hysterically through everything. And I later got to work with him a second time when we did like it was some sort of television movie, TV movie. I think it was for ABC. It was with him and Katie Seagal. And I played, yeah, you're wearing Sons of Anarchy gear. I was sort of like the bartender friend that he could, cry in his beer with. And it was just delightful, to see him again. And he said, come into my trailer. And he had made Sling Blade in between there. And so we were talking a lot about that. And it just, just a great guy. A terrible, terrible loss. Terrible loss, because he really was one of the better people.
Another brave soul here.
How did it feel being able to come back to your character Tasha Yar after the first season of Next Generation?
You mean like for Yesterday's Enterprise?
Yeah,
and then very interesting. The Yesterday's Enterprise was very exciting, and to me that was just one of the best scripts that the Next Gen ever produced. So, and a lot of time hadn't passed, so Tasha was still very much in my DNA, let's say. So, what really took me by surprise was doing All Good Things, the very, very final episode. I sort of thought, oh, I got this. I mean, it's Tasha Yar. I know how to play her and who she is. And I got to the set, and here I was in this capsule with Captain Picard, and it was like, oh man, I forgot. I really don't know what I'm doing here. And it took me a little bit. It took me by surprise, just how time plays in your being, and when you're away from something, you can't just jump right back into it as if it was yesterday. So it took me by surprise, but it was fun. It was great.
What was it like playing Sela in between all of that?
Well, playing Sela was, again, I loved the challenge of it, because I really needed to create a very different role. And, I loved that she was, I was looking for somewhat of the spirit of Tasha underneath that. I thought that it would be so interesting. And I was even looking for like a characteristic that suddenly she would do, and maybe one of the crew of the Enterprise would say, oh my God, your mother did that. Just that there was this just connection in her DNA, even though she was so in denial of any aspect of that. So, it was just a wonderful acting challenge to play her, and again, a real surprise. I never thought that was possible. I may be the only actress that's played her own daughter on the same series. I don't know, maybe in like General Hospital or something. I don't know, but you're not going to see that on HBO too much these days.
Were you a fan of the original Star Trek before you did Next Gen? And of all of them without Next Gen, which is your favorite TV series?
I was a fan of the original Star Trek. I didn't see it in the 60s when it first came on. I was, just so little. But I caught it when it went into first run syndication when I was about 18. So it came on every night at 5 in Los Angeles. And at that time, I was living on an organic farm in Malibu. And in exchange for rent, I was going to school. In exchange for rent, I would do some of the farming. And it was owned by an 85-year-old Italian immigrant. And he and I, our ritual every day, would watch Star Trek together. So that was how we related, and it was great. And so I was a big fan of the show, and it's just part of what you do when you're like 18, 19 years old. You watch Star Trek. It's like cool. My favorite, they all have just great sort of qualities about it. Once I left the Next Gen, I didn't really follow a lot of the series after that. So, I still like the classic Trek. I was just embarking on my career, I was just starting to get work, and this appointment comes in for Star Trek, The Next Generation. And I think, really? They're gonna make, and they were just beginning that phase of just remaking stuff. And I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Nobody's gonna watch this. It's gonna be embarrassing. Star Trek is iconic. You can't, what, are they gonna have another captain? And, it's like, you can't replace Captain Kirk. No, we're not gonna remake Star Trek. It's the Next Generation. I'm thinking, and it was made for syndication. So it was the first television show. Generally what happens with network television, it goes on the major stations, and then after they get enough episodes made, they sell it off into a secondary market, which is syndication. But you didn't make things that went right into syndication. So it had this sort of already this weird, cheap tarnish on it. But I was young, I needed money, I wasn't in any position to say no. So so I'm on the set of Miracle Mile, and I get the script. They didn't give us a whole script, by the way, because it was very top secret and they didn't want it leaked. So they just gave me what's called sides, and they're just pages taken from the script of my character. I remember I was reading for Deanna Troi. That was the part they wanted to see me in. And Marina was reading for Tasha Yar. Oh. So I get the pages of this thing that is a beta Z, psychic empath. I go, what in the heck is a beta Z? What am I supposed to do with it? I don't even know, it's out of context. I don't know where what, and I slip them. I'm embarrassed to show anyone on the set of Miracle Mile that I'm reading for Star Trek, The Next Generation. Like it would diminish my indie cred. So, but eventually I went to read for just the casting director, and over the course of 5 different auditions, they flipped Marina and I. And that's what it ended up to be.
So when you're on the set of The Next Generation, what's the usual daily routine that you would go through?
Well, The Next Generation was a really exhausting show to do. We did 26 episodes per season. Now, normally, it's 22 are ordered. But now, like, for instance, Ray Donovan or The Magicians, which I've been doing on Sci-Fi, it's 12 episodes per season. So to do 26 episodes per season before you get a break is like you maybe have, 1 month off before you start again. And the days are really long. And Monday starts by like 5 a.m. And you're pushing, by Friday, you're working until midnight. So, and then you come back Monday morning at 5. So you don't even really have a full, like, weekend. And they were just really, really long days, long hours. That being said, what the cast really bonded. And we made it fun. And sometimes too fun. And there were a couple times there was one time that I somehow had forgotten, but the producer, Rick Berman, our executive producer, came down to the set and had a meeting with us all, the cast, because the director of the episode was complaining that we were too goofy. And he said, you guys, you gotta keep it together. And we were like, well, wait a minute, when they say action, we are always there, we're never messing up, we're delivering the stuff. But when they're setting up the next shot or something, Jonathan would sing, Brent would dance, and it was just, a free-for-all. And they wanted us to take it a little more seriously. And even, old Patrick Stewart got in on the action, he loosened up over the course of, 6 years. It was fun.
Let's go right there, going to the blue arms. Yeah.
What's it been like being part of the sci-fi geek community as long as you have, and sort of watching it evolve as the information age kind of continues?
Wow, that's a great question, because I really have been, part of this changing arc. And I think that I have a unique perspective because I made 2 documentaries, Trekkies and Trekkies 2. So I really went in, I saw early on that things were about to change. And I think I helped that in some way, because I was going to conventions and I was kind of getting blown away by the stories I was hearing that the fans were telling, and just the openness and the heartwarming tales that I was coming back to my house with. And I had friends who had never seen an episode of Star Trek. I still have some friends. I don't think my husband actually has ever seen that. I mean, I'm not kidding you. When he met me, he goes, "And what do you do?" And I think it's probably why I married him. But a lot of my friends, a number of my friends, had never seen an episode of Star Trek, but they were fascinated that there were conventions. They would say, "Wait a minute, where were you?" "Oh, I was in Lexington at a Star Trek convention." "Really? People go to, what do you do there?" And they would have me explain, and they would go, "That's so amazing." So I began to feel that there's some need for fans to be able to tell their story, because the media is not getting it. It's too easy to turn on your 11 o'clock news at night and there's the newscaster. "Well, hey everyone, the Star Trek convention's in town this weekend. Get out those ears and see you at the convention center tomorrow." And it's like, yeah, but there's all kinds of stuff going on. And why? What is the why under it? And so I just set out to explore that. And I think because you started to see people like, Bill Gates and Paul Allen and, Steve Jobs and the people who were changing the world as we know it. Bill Gates used to go to his board meeting and have a makeup artist put on Spock ears. And they were embracing, the world of sci-fi and the imagination, and they were changing the world. So, by the way, next month in May, Paul Allen, who was a partner in Microsoft, he has built in Seattle an incredible museum. And he's doing a tribute to 50th anniversary of Star Trek. So he's flying me up there to, be part of the opening of this new exhibit at his museum that he's built. I mean, he has like an incredible array of props and costumes, and I think he has the original captain's chair, I'll tweet, if you guys follow me on Twitter, I'll tweet a picture of me in the chair. Okay? The Denise Crosby, that's it, it's verified, I have the check, so follow me and I'll say hi to you guys, to Bangor.
If you're looking for a last minute vacation.
Sorry, I get the German thing mixed in with the other.
How was it working on The Walking Dead?
Oh, wow. Okay. So The Walking Dead, there is a phenomenal show and with great people working on it. They run it so well and they are so kind, and I just, again, believe it starts with Andrew Lincoln. That guy is, a gem. When I got to the set, he was in the makeup trailer and he just jumped right up and gave me the biggest, warmest hug and said, "I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. We are so happy to have you." I could think, does he think I'm Meryl Streep? I went, okay. Well, I'm really happy to be here too, Andrew. And, it just is a phenomenon. Now, when I got cast, this is a great story. When I got cast in The Walking Dead, I'm going to admit, I'd never seen an episode. Okay, so I did 3 seasons of binge watching, to get, and of course I was like, oh my God. So, and now, talk about secretive. When you are invited to go on The Walking Dead, you have to sign a legal non-disclosure. So I couldn't tell anyone that I was going to do The Walking Dead. I couldn't tell anybody that I was on The Walking Dead until it aired. Now, I didn't even know what I was supposed to be playing on The Walking Dead because they brought me in and they wrote something for me to do that had absolutely nothing to do with The Walking Dead.
Yeah. Out of everything you've played in, what was your favorite show? Out of everyone that you played in?
Wow, that's a really tough answer because it's, it's like you have, 6 or 7 kids. Well, which one's your favorite? Debbie. But each one is unique, and you embrace it, fully, and each one has inherent challenges, and I couldn't say. There have been some sets that have been, more fun. I mean, certainly The Walking Dead was one of those. Ray Donovan tends to be a little more serious and dark. Working with Liev Schreiber can be intimidating. He's a very, very seriously good actor. Not that any of those other guys aren't, but in a different, he's also directing. So, I just shot Ray Donovan last week, and I was with him, and I realized, this is not, he's not a warm and cuddly person. He's intense. But he's also playing Ray Donovan, so, it's a little, he is intense. But yeah, each one, I couldn't give you a fave.
Well, with regard to your career, is there a part that you absolutely wanted to have and didn't get, and how does it affect your career in the long term?
Wow, I think, we all have those stories of, when I was early in my career, I had been auditioning for Ghostbusters. And I think I did 5 auditions, and I was really close to getting that role. And Bill Murray had just worked with Sigourney Weaver, and she was looking to do another comedy, and she just stepped right in, you know. And we all have those stories, and I'm sure there's a really talented actress who said, you know, I read for Tasha Yar so many times, and, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, Marina, yeah. That's right. Yeah, Marina's just, you know, bowing down to me. Yeah, so, but you know, I'm not, I am really a believer in fate, and that it all, if you stay open, and everything happens for a reason. My life has unfolded that way, and I really, it seems to be working so far. So it had Sigourney's name on it. You know, she had to do that role. So you know, who knows? Everything has its ripple effect too. So if I did that, maybe I wouldn't have done that, and you know, there'd be a different Tasha Yar sitting here.
In contrast to that, is there a role or a certain genre that you haven't played yet? You've done so many different things. Is there something you'd want to do in the future?
I think I'd really like to do some more comedy. You know, I've done, you know, certainly worked with John Ritter and done, you know, some stuff with Blake Edwards, and I just, that part of me doesn't get to get so utilized that much, you know. Even when in Ray Donovan, I tried to find, you know, some humor. In the first season, there was a really fun scene I did with Paula Malcolmson, who, you know, we stole some shoes in a store and ran, you know, these 2 wealthy women doing that. It was kind of crazy. And I had a little dog, a male dog, but my husband named it Ruth, you know, for his ex-wife. No, his wife that died of cancer. I don't know if you guys are following Ray Donovan, but it's like absurd, you know, this wiener dog named Ruth. And I made some really, I can't repeat, statement about the dog. So I kind of have a wacky sense of humor that I would like to, you know, make some money on. Let's just put it that way.
I was just wondering, when you were on Next Generation as Tasha Yar, how it felt, and if it seemed like a big deal at the time to be a woman playing like the tough, aggressive security chief, and how it's like, and a badass, and how if that like seemed like a big deal, but just that was so different from the roles that a lot of women got in television before that.
It felt like a really natural step to be taking at that time. I mean, it just seemed right. The timing was right. I was always, you know, active. I played sports. I was, you know, physically fit. I studied Aikido when I was doing Tasha Yar. Jonathan Frakes and I had to wipe Jonathan because I guess he was going to maybe fight too, but we had to, they wanted us to study Aikido twice a week. So I loved the physicality of Tasha, you know, and so it felt like a really natural step, and I knew the idea behind it. I knew the intention, you know, to have a female security officer, because we were beginning to, you know, break through, and, you know, more women were in the military, more women were in the, you know, armed forces, and as it still goes on today. I mean, we're not there, but it's, you know, we're pushing this, you know, we're like Sisyphus pushing this rock, you know, up the hill, and it's changing. We have more to go, you know. it's like 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. But the one thing, you know, it always sort of felt like they did it as a novelty, but there wasn't a payoff at times. You know, like, let me do my job, you know, and that's why I was so grateful for yesterday's Enterprise, because it kind of was, she redeemed herself in a way, between Tasha and Deanna Troi. And Troi was in her counseling office, and Tasha was sent to Troi for a counseling session. And Tasha was having trouble feeling adequate in the position she was given. She was struggling with her own insecurities. And remember, you know, the character of Tasha Yar came from a very broken up planet, and she was an orphan and escaped all the rape gangs and all the, you know, she had a really tough upbringing, and yet made it through, you know, the academy and rose to greatness in her field. But inside of her, there's a very fragile young girl. And she's struggling with being the chief of security on the greatest ship the Federation has put together, with this captain who is extraordinary. And so Troi says, well, Tasha, you are more than capable of doing this. You are the one to do this job. What is going on? She said, well, I just think Captain Picard, I'm not good enough. I'm just not good enough to be on his ship. She said, that is ridiculous. Of course that's not true. What are you doing for fun? And she goes, fun? I'm not having, there's no room for fun. I have to be good at what I'm doing. I can't rest, I can't relax. She goes, no. First of all, you need to relax. You need to, like, go to the bar. You need to go to the holodeck and chill. And really? Yes. When did you have a boyfriend, Denise? Well, I don't exactly. You know, it's like that kind of scene. And it was this very, well, it unlocked the door for me in terms of who I believe Tasha Yar was. It was very revealing to me to get some insight into how I was going to play her. So it never really, I don't know why, because there weren't throughout the whole series very many scenes between the women. So it was, again, a lost opportunity, but it was, I think that was an inspiration to me. The writing was an inspiration to me.
Is there going to be a Sharkies 3?
I hope so. I'm working on it. I've had Roger Nygaard and I have some ideas we would like there to be. I'd like to go to some places I haven't been in the world, whether, you know, I'd like to go to maybe, you know, Asia, India, Africa, that, you know, part of the world, see what Trek is about over there. I have no idea. I'd like to revisit some of my friends from the original. I'd like to see how the dentist is doing, and Barbara Adams, she's still working at Sir Speedy. And then I'd like to interview, like, the J.J. Abrams guys. I'd like to interview. As a matter of fact, when I met J.J. Abrams, this is a good story. So my son and J.J. and I live in the same area in town, in L.A. And our boys played Little League together. And they were playing against each other one day. And I was at the game and JJ was at the game. And this guy comes up to me and he says, Denise, do you know who that is? Go introduce yourself, it's J.J. Abrams. I go, I'm not gonna go introduce myself as a kid's Little League game. It's like he's there to watch his son. He goes, no, but you guys are the same, you know, the same pod. You know? The same. he'll like it. So I went, oh God, okay, well, let me see if this works out. And so the game kind of lulled, and so I went over and I said, Mr. Abrams, hi, I'm Denise Crosby. I was on The Next Generation. And he said, oh my God, I love Trekkies. I love Trekkies. And I went, wow, God, that's great. Well, I love what you're doing with the show, with the series. So, I would love to interview him and all those actors that are doing Star Trek, and sort of hand it over to the next generation.
Actually, J.J. Abrams, I believe, married a woman from this area.
Really?
Yeah, from Aurora.
Oh,
High school.
okay.
I blanked on the name, but nice little Maine connection there too. Your thoughts, though, on this new revival of the Star Wars movies in general, basically?
The Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Trek.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
Can you believe that?
The Star Trek.
Wow. I have never been so into Okay. I love, look, I think it's exactly right, what he's done, and, taken it to a cinematic, level that is required if you're going to make a film. There's some debate, that's going on, which is something I want to kind of cover in Trekkies. There's a real camp, divided camp about where Star Trek is going. Are we losing kind of the subtle morality threads of telling tales for a more action-based adventure? So, but I think it continues Star Trek, and that's the good thing. And maybe that will lead to now they're talking about a new series. So it just keeps it evolving, keeps it going, keeps it in the brings in new fans. Younger people want to see a big action movie, and that's there for them.
Great Star Trek answer there. Really. We'll go there, then there next. All right.
My question is, if you had to choose between Captain Kirk and Picard, if you were Tasha Yar and you had to choose which ship you wanted to be on, who would you choose for your captain? They're both great, of course, but who would you choose?
Wow. Well, since I served for the noble Captain Picard, I certainly would like to give Kirk a run for his money. I think he'd be fun to be, on the crew with. Just one mission. See what that's like. I think we'd go. We'd have some action. I mean, not in that way. Actually, probably. It's Kirk, right? Good.
We'll segue off that question.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on the quality of roles available for female actresses in this sci-fi cinematic genre? Do you think that it improves into when you started, or?
Well, I think that there's certainly a lot more stuff, available. There's such good writing, on television right now, and I think, we're always fighting a good fight, but there's definitely improvements, and my God, I mean, in the 80s, you look back on some of the, it's been fun watching this CNN, 80s show. I've forgotten, what it looks like, but, you basically had to have big hair and big boobs and big shoulder pads, and that was what you did, as a woman. And, you look at some of the TV shows now, and they're just much more, it's different, it's changing. So I think there's all kinds of possibilities now. And women are you know, they're creating stuff. Not a lot, but it's happening. There's not a lot of women, though, creating sci-fi.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah. Now, you know, the show I worked on, The Magicians, it's run by a woman. And yeah, she's quite impressive and a really good writer. And so it's there, it's happening. There's hope.
Thank you.
But not a lot of sci-fi still with women.
Okay, so our question over here first, and then anyone still want that one? Going once, twice. Sold to the Power Ranger in the back.
Any info on the new series?
You know, I know nothing. Well, you know I couldn't tell you anyway. What?
I was hoping.
Yeah, I'm sure. They would kill me. No, but truly, I don't know. I don't know a thing. You guys know usually more than we do anyway about this stuff, you know. But I don't know. I mean, the only thing I heard was that they were going to, you know, present the pilot on CBS, and then they would make it available for its streaming services.
For
You know,
their streaming service specifically.
for what?
CBS.
CBS, yeah, exactly. So you'll have to subscribe to now their streaming services to get it. Cute. Clever how they did that.
We have any other questions? Yeah. We'll go through it.
In reference to your liking the original Star Trek, how did it feel to work with one of them?
Oh, I worked with a few of them. So, you know, the first one was, you know, well, Bones. DeForest Kelly, I totally, yeah. He was in, and, you know, I got to interview those guys for Trekkies. So, and of course, Leonard, you know, was astounding. And I remember Brent and I standing there, and like the scene was over, and we went, wow, man, that was Spock. I said, I know, and I think I hit him there. So I walked onto the soundstage, and Bill was like, there were no children on my bridge. And Will was like a deer caught in the headlights. Are you talking to me? I said, well, I said, you know, there is now, Bill, there is now. And I said, come on, Will, come on, let's go. And, you know, it was sort of, it took him a little bit to embrace the changeover.
Yeah, just a random question. If Natasha Yar was a Force user, what would she be? Jedi, Sith, or Knights of Ren?
Oh, are we talking about that Star Wars thing?
I was curious.
I think Tasha Yar and Han Solo would have gotten together and made really nice children. I'll leave it at that. Don't you think? I mean, Han Solo and Tasha Yar?
Yeah.
I think a badass kid, right? We'll leave it at that.
All right, we're going to wrap up here in a little bit. We'll just do a couple more questions. So if you have one, this is the time to ask it. Okay.
I heard the one-piece suits that you wore in Star Trek Next Generation were really uncomfortable. Do you have any stories about these?
None I could share with you. My goodness, we've just this Star Wars thing has gotten you guys all flustered here. Yeah, they were this kind of stretchy polyester, unbreathable, tight, fab one piece, you know, that Patrick incorporated it. You know, he was always, that became his signature thing, and that was by not by design. That was, you know, I have to pull this damn thing down. And, you know, they kind of played with a couple of different ideas. I think there might be one shot in the pilot. You'll actually you might see me, you do see Marina, I believe, in the skirts they made for us, which is a skirt and a short combined. And it was like, guys, really? We're not in the 60s anymore. We don't need to wear mini skirts and knee-high boots. We're, you know, I'm not going to fight aliens in this thing. And we got, you know, a kind of more uni design for all of us to wear.
Sounds like being trapped inside a giant sock.
Being trapped inside a giant sock?
That's what the...
Oh. Yeah, something like that. Like, as if I would know.
All right, a final question, anyone?
Make it good.
As an actress, when you're approaching for a new role, what do you look for in a script?
Wow. Well, I guess you're breaking down sort of, you know, is it something that you have never done before, some quality that is fun to explore? I mean, my favorite part of acting is the kind of research, you know, that opens doors into worlds that I don't visit, you know. So you know, it's the layering on, the process of before you play it that is so intriguing. You know, you want to surprise yourself as an actor. That's always the best thing if that can happen. It doesn't always happen, but I remember an acting teacher early on, you know, said just surprise yourself with what you're going to do here. So you don't have it all worked out and mapped out and safe. You know, you're tiptoeing around things. Go to where you thought you couldn't get to, or do something. And you know, they're like the little accidents that happen, and you go, wow, I didn't know I could say it that way. Or I did a play a couple years ago, actually that Gates McFadden directed me in. And there was a scene in which my husband is down in the downstage at the front, reading the paper and drinking coffee, and I'm upstage making him breakfast. And I put the breakfast on the plate with my back to the audience, and I turn around and I have to walk quite a distance to bring him the plate. And that walk turned into, you saw exactly their relationship from that walk. And that was a total discovery of just doing it one night. I just started to walk like, I'm gonna kill you with this plate of food. And didn't say a word, just set it down and walked back. And the audience, you could hear the audience. They just went, and it, you know, and that I love discovery like that, you know.
Well, this has been great. A lot of great questions. Thank you for your time here.